Hey everybody, welcome to the show. This is SuperLife, and I'm your host, Darin Olien. Thanks for tuning in. I'm grateful that you're here. This is a further exploration of resiliency, both as we rebuild our lives from certainly natural disaster, but also a expanded version of how we deal with anything in life, really, and we rise from the ashes of what's going on. I did this because I had to. In 2018, many of you know, and maybe many of you don't, I lost everything I owned. Only my dogs were safe, thank God, off of the property, and my suitcase and a car that I parked when I was out of the country. But in this episode, we're going to explore what super life is, what that means, and explore practical ways that you can cultivate meaningful ways of looking at your emotions, your physical well-being, and we're going to expand on loss. And some of these things, the current situation, the LA fires, where I just got back home a couple days ago. Thank God this time my property was not damaged. But just down the street, I mourn my community because that was not the case. These things are unimaginable, and losing everything is catastrophic. So I want to talk about that. And this goes beyond the fires. This is hurricanes, this is earthquakes. However, we are always going to be hit with something. So I'm going to take a step back from just focusing directly on the people that suffered recently in the LA fires, which there's a lot. But also we've got hurricanes that happened a month or so ago. And all over the world, there's always something going on. And we know about it more and more because of media and social media. And it can be intense for all of us. So these are setbacks, and these happen in life, and we don't get out of them. Hell, we have breakups, we have job loss, we have health crises, we have anxiety. Our modern day world is filled full of this stuff, and the latest science we're going to explore on managing stress, anxiety, PTSD, and we're going to share some strategies to help you both if you're dealing with a catastrophic situation or just in general, how you can raise your level of resiliency in your life. Because when this happens, the path that you've laid before yourself will help you. Like acting now on taking care of yourself is so very powerful. So the emotional toll of disasters is immense. You know, like the wildfires here, again, like the hurricanes and floods, and the frequency of these things seems to be increasing. But it certainly drives us to having to respond because these things are happening. And we all know loved ones and certainly health. Many people don't have physical resiliency, and that plays a massive role. According to the American Psychological Association in 2003, natural disasters can lead to acute stress responses, significantly increase the risk of long-term physiological and psychological conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder if it's not properly addressed. Understanding the stress response. So, if any of you want to go back into the last podcast I just did, I tried to respond as quickly as possible because I can relate to many people that have lost everything recently in the LA area, and had a great conversation with Dr. Michael Gervais and the founder of NuCalm, Jim Poole. Again, we give everyone who has suffered with the LA fire and those situations free 1-year subscription to a neuroscience application called NuCalm. You listen to it, and it trains your brain through frequency And it's a proven, scientifically proven, we're not just saying that, scientifically proven and one of the only FDA recognized medical devices. So I want to state that again. NuCalm, if you are suffering from the LA fires, you have 1 year free subscription. You can go to my Instagram page, Darin Olien. You can go to that story, and even if you go to my bio, you can go to the resiliency program and then go to the website, and it pops up. Put your name and email, and NuCalm will get you set up on that free subscription. So there's immediate shock and anxiety when anything happens. Your body goes into this fight or flight. It goes into overdrive. It needs to. So huge amounts of cortisol and adrenaline are increased. So why it matters, because if we don't deal with this stuff, like Jim in our other episode explained, and also Dr. Gervais explained, that the amygdala is on fire, and these patterns can be corrected and helped so that they don't become long-term chronic exposures and keep these patterns of neurology going. The stress hormones can, over time, lead to conditions like further anxiety, further depression, and massive sleep disturbances. So it is tricky because you're just flying by the seat of your pants trying to make sure that what's going on, you have a place to live, that everyone's safe, that your pets and your family are safe, and that's necessary with the cortisol and adrenaline. The problem is if these stress responses are not dealt with, there's a great book about 25 years ago I read called Waking the Tiger. And they described that when animals that are chased and escape death, as soon as they find safety, they let their neurological system rewire itself, because if they kept that level of stress, they would die. But we as humans, we don't do that necessarily. And we have to step in and help our brains kind of come back online to a more long-term balance. So, we're dealing with grief and loss beyond just the material possessions, which, by the way, if you know anyone who lost everything, please don't ever say it's just stuff, because it isn't. Some of the stuff is less meaning, of course, but others have extensions of us. So be sensitive around that. So you may grieve the sense of safety and comfort and normalcy right away because suddenly it's gone. So why it matters to understand this is there was a study in 2022, and the quote is, "Acknowledging and processing these feelings is essential for healthy recovery over time." So journaling, meditation, and again, like Dr. Gervais said in the last episode, we need to take care of our physiology, make sure we're hydrated, make sure we're sleeping, make sure we're taking some breath, do breath work. And that's why NuCalm is so powerful, because it's trained to help your brain deal with stress, anxiety, PTSD, and also help you sleep. These are really powerful. So strategies for regulating stress and anxiety, as well as doing things like NuCalm, which, by the way, side note, we're going to launch SuperLife SuperMind with NuCalm as a product later, but we wanted to give this now for people suffering in the LA fires for free. So I just want to be clear. This technology that NuCalm has discovered over the last 30 years and $40 million, it is so powerful that for performance, for longevity, for just getting your mind to not ruminate so much and to get restful sleep and not be a victim of so much stress. So another strategy is being mindful and using other relaxation techniques. The Journal of Clinical Psychology found that Mindfulness-based interventions significantly reduced PTSD symptoms, improved emotional regulations in disaster survivors. Using simple breathing exercises, grounding these in these techniques are so powerful. Easy one. Here's a couple. In the nose for a 4 count. Hold on the top for 7. Exhale slowly, like you're pushing through a straw, and a count of 8. And then on the exhale, when you don't have no breath in your lungs, hold for another 8, and then repeat 4, hold 7, let the air out for 8, and hold for 8, and just repeat that. Even 5 minutes of that will bring your body back online and increase your parasympathetic response. There's other things like cognitive behavioral therapy, or it's called CBT, is one of the most effective treatments also for anxiety and PTSD. This is helping individuals coping with skills and reframing negativity. So if you find a practitioner who understands cognitive behavioral therapy, this also could be powerful. Seek this professional guidance or utilize online platforms. But again, these are in person, so there could be a aspect of this that is very beneficial. Social supportive networks. These are so powerful. Community comes by way of community support, the people around you. Be careful, though, of the victimization. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh, what are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Careful of those people. That's not what I'm talking about. Social supportive networks are those people, friends. What do you need? Do you have food? Do you have shelter? Do you need to talk? Do you need to let's go for an exercise? Do you want to breathe together? That is a powerful thing. The World Health Organization reiterates through their research that community and familiar support is crucial for mental health recovery. Social connectedness. And that's the beautiful thing about tragedy, in this weird sort of way that we come together and all of the other stuff that we have kind of created separation about, whether it's freaking political or the way you view the world or what you eat, all of this shit that we allow to get in our way is ridiculous. When we're all human family, who cares about what someone eats? Who cares about if you're sitting next to someone who eats completely different? Who cares? Who cares? Let them be them. And if they want to change, they'll let you know. So supportive networks and community is so powerful. Building individual and collective resilience. These things, as we live in areas around the globe, events will happen, whether it's flooding and hurricanes or fires. Unfortunately, if we punt so much of our sovereignty off to big organizations, governments, you name it, they can lead us to not being fully prepared. So a big sense of control. For example, I lost my home to the fire, and I live in the woods. I'm surrounded by the national park. If that starts on fire, no one's coming. Guaranteed. I'm the only house in this area. They have other resources. So my point of view from day one of starting the rebuilding process, which it takes a while, has always been, I live in a fire zone. Most places in California are fire zones. We have to build appropriately for building biology. It's a whole nother conversation. I'm going to get some experts on. We're going to talk deeply about that. So there's ways that you can build that don't have harmful toxins. And if you have a house, there's other things that you can do to minimize the pollution inside your house, and also to minimize the everyone who needs to rebuild, or you're in a position to do that. what you're building with is so important. Guess what I'm not using? I'm not using any wood whatsoever on the outside of my home. And it's not going to be made of wood. Fire prevention is so necessary. And I have other water devices and advanced sprinkler systems that I will be using. And all of these things and so much more is so necessary to gain that sense of control again. Because if we just pretend, I just want my house up and I want everything to normal again, it's not normal. Nothing is normal. We need to take this information and transmute it into what are the steps that I can do to protect my home if I choose to live here again. No matter where you're at on the planet, there are potentials for danger. If you're in an apartment building and they didn't wire the building properly, you might have electromagnetic fields that are causing stressors in your body. It's hard to know. These are the things that we need to look at to create better safety. Other things, create emergency kits, get emergency walkie-talkies for your friends and people around you so you can communicate when everything else falls apart. All of these things are so important. Infrastructure and policy advocacy, obviously. Here in California, one of the big things I'm going to do is fight for proper forest management. They've done this in Australia and other indigenous communities. They've been doing this forever. Why are we fighting for one flower and then minimizing the underbrush that is just building up over time? This is a bigger topic. I'm just going to pause it there, but there's so much we can do based on where you're at and what you're doing. And these kind of things are ways that you can invest in your own resiliency infrastructure. So I really implore anyone who has suffered as a result of this and has a home to build or whatever, please look at building biology. I think buildingbiology.org, as well as where your house is, what is it made out of, what's around it. All of these things are so bloody important. And again, organized community, food banks, shelters, mental health clinics, know what's going on is so important. The power of resiliency in everyday life. So I'm going to shift from big events to the relevance for all of us. Resiliency is not just for disaster survivors. It's for life's challenges. Like a job loss, divorce, chronic health issues can be traumatic and devastating. Research shows that building resilient proactivity can help people cope better and better as adversity hits them, because it is coming. This is what we signed up for. This is what life is. It's not a fairy book ending where you're just happily ever after. You're going to be hit with something. Preparing mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually now and building that is going to not only make your life better with more awareness, contentment, and happiness, but when things do happen, you'll have more resolve, more resiliency. Some key research. The End of Trauma by Dr. George Bonanno. That's right, his name is Bonanno. Illustrates that most people are surprisingly resilient when faced with adversity, largely because resilience is an active process of adapting to stress and challenges. It's already built inside of us. We have so much resiliency inside of us. When things happen, look what happens to the community. Look what happens when people are hit with loss and they show up. They show up for others. They show up for ourselves. So don't underestimate the power of your resiliency. And also, growing your mindset, recognizing that setbacks are not just setbacks. You are not a victim. There are opportunities to learn. So there was a great study. Dr. Dwork said that mindset suggests adapting growth perspective can help you persist in the face of these obstacles, meaning that focused coping is certainly very powerful. In 2020, an article in Harvard Business Review highlights that individuals who engage in meaning-focused coping often bounce back way more quickly from life's inevitable setbacks. Great study in 2020. Flexible thinking. Oh my God, we need flexible thinking, don't we? We need it everywhere. Ourselves, myself, yourself, everybody. We need to be open to new solutions, new approaches, new ways of doing things, not just doing the same thing. Study in 2013 said that cognitive flexibility is a core component to psychological resilience across multiple life domains. How do we look ahead? Mitigating the future trauma, incorporating mental health checkups, surrounding yourself with great friends and people, proactive self-care, exercise, balanced diet, whole foods, good sleep. All of this stuff is not just some biohack. It's building up your strength inside. This is so important. Don't be lazy in your life. We can all cultivate resilience. Challenges, whether large-scale disasters or personal struggles, offer us the chance to grow stronger, learn more, and adapt. So I'm stoked for you to expand your thoughts, your emotional latitude and longitude. Because, again, LA got hit with some major disaster. And I am so sad for my community, but not from a victim. My personal point of view is the community should rebuild, not the government. The government should support, and we should be at the sovereign control of what goes on in our rebuilding of the community. These are discussions that are so necessary. I am not impressed with any politician saying anything, because when they said that to me, we're going to warp speed this shit, we're going to make it go really fast, and you get back in your home. I'm sorry to say, I live in a unique area. However, I'm 8 years in, and I am not rebuilt. I threw up some structures, which I'm currently in, that I did it in the face of them saying I can't. So we have to do things better. We have to create sovereignty for ourselves. If you are someone or someone you know that is struggling, remember, there's help. We're here to help you. Check out this show and the last show and people suffering in the LA fires acutely. You have 1 year free subscription of NuCalm, and be ready for all of you who want to build resiliency. We will have NuCalm available for you too, coming very soon at a very reasonable cost, seeing as though they've taken 30 years and $40 million to get this convenient on our little app and listen to our headphones. So I'm excited for the opportunity that we take for a community to help each other, support each other, rebuild together, and create a new future, a new earth, a new way of doing things. At the core of SuperLife, this is what has gotten so deep inside of me because of the struggles I have gone through. SuperLife is built on the backs of my struggle. The transmutation of my struggle has led to the creation of an incredible program that we will be releasing over and over again as we add more things. The first thing will be SuperLife SuperMind program. But we are building more and more things for the pure idea and support to make everyone have the opportunity to maximize their life, to have a super life. So please like and subscribe this episode. Share it with the people that are suffering now. And if they want to listen to the episode we just did with Dr. Michael Gervais, Jim Poole, Jeff Patterson did an amazing intro, and myself telling about my story and the free year subscription for anyone suffering from the LA fires. Okay? Remember, we are better together than apart. We are better in our hearts than in our heads. And community is so freaking powerful. I love you.